Welcome to the Top 5 Sports Podcast, and I'm your host, Chike Obaka. This is your number one destination for all things sports. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button for more sports-related content, and don't forget to hit the notification button to be notified of new episodes. So, as you can already see in the title, I'm going to be talking about the top 5 NBA players that you need to look out for in the 2023-2024 season. The 2022-2023 season was an amazing one. Congratulations to the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic. Amazing run in the NBA Finals. However, it's a new season. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. There's been a lot of moves in the NBA free agency market and a lot of highs and a lot of lows last season. So you already have players looking to redeem themselves in this new season. And I can't wait to get started. I can't wait to jump right into this, and I hope you're excited as I am. So let's get right into it. So, at number 5, I want to talk about Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama. He was drafted number 1 overall in the 2023 draft to the San Antonio Spurs. And the last time there was a buzz around a player like this, I believe, was back in 2019. And that was Zion Williamson. Zion was coined to be the next LeBron James. Same build, almost the same height. But obviously, Zion hasn't really lived up to that expectation yet. But he's a great player. He's doing so much in the league. He's had multiple All-Star appearances. But there was so much hype with him, and it's not really living up to it, so to speak. However, with Victor Wembanyama, there's a lot of hype around him, and that's because he's been compared to the likes of LeBron James and Michael Jordan. And me personally, I think they might be right. I think they might be right because this might be the best thing coming into the NBA draft in a very, very long time. And there's a reason for that. And that reason is because he's different. He's different in the sense that he's 7'4" with a wingspan of 8 feet. Think about it. 7'4" with a wingspan of 8 feet. So for those of you who watch basketball, you know that the hoop itself is about 10 feet tall. And he's just 2 feet away from the hoop. He has the IQ of a point guard. He has great handles just like a point guard. He can shoot the ball. And for his height, he's pretty fast. That's the scary thing about him. He's pretty fast. He can play on both offense, and he can also play on both defense. And that's scary for everybody in the league because a guy with that kind of height, 7'4", who's good defensively and can also put buckets in, the league needs to watch out for that. And I think, he reminds me of one of those created players. You know when you play 2K and you have a created player where you just kind of make him the best thing ever, 7 feet, 8 feet, whatever you want to call it. And then you just bump all the attributes to 99, shooting, dribbling, everything. And that's who this guy reminds me of. He reminds me of that, super being of an athlete where he's just like long and fast and he can dribble and do all that good stuff. So, I think he's one to look out for, right? He's been impressive throughout the preseason. There was a particular game I think he played against the Golden State Warriors, which I think he was really, really good. We kind of saw the potential of Victor Wembanyama, right? But I know everybody's talking about, him being like the next LeBron or being the next Michael Jordan, or some critics kind of have him as being greater than both. But I think Victor Wembanyama reminds me more of Kevin Durant, in the sense that he's kind of lanky, right? He's kind of lanky and he's kind of tall. Kevin Durant is listed as 6'10", which honestly I think is 7 feet, but he said he doesn't like being called taller, which is weird. Every guy wants to be taller. But anyways, he's 6'10", 6'11", but he has great handles and he can shoot, right? Wembanyama is 7'4", great handles, and he can shoot. And he reminds me of Kevin Durant because lanky guys who just have mad handles and can score on you anytime, literally anytime. Kevin Durant, people have called him the most unguardable player in the league. And with Wembanyama, I just feel like he has certain similarities with Kevin Durant, right? And the only issue I heard was that he might be too skinny, right? Some people were saying, hey, you need to add up a few pounds, kind of bulk up to play with the big boys in the league. But again, going to that example with Kevin Durant, KD never really got big. I think KD just got better with his game rather than putting more pounds on himself. And if Victor Wembanyama kind of follows that trail, I don't think it's necessary for him to put on more muscle. I just think that he's so freakishly tall, like 7'4". You just scoring anybody. Like, you can score in anybody, so I don't see any reason why he needs to put on more muscle. I think it's fine to me, but if there's need for that, by all means, please do so. But I think that's not necessarily an issue for me personally. I heard that some critics are saying he needs to put on a little muscle, but overall, I think he's a great player. And another thing I also wanted to add to what Victor Wembanyama has is that he also has Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich recently signed a 4-year contract. I believe it was $80 million in July 2023 this year. And he's in good hands. He's in good hands because Greg is already deemed as one of the best coaches ever to coach the game. And, you know, you have Tim Duncan under him, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. And you know you're going to an organization that is known very well for breeding players. Kawhi Leonard too as well, Finals MVP. I honestly think he's in great hands. I honestly think that he's going to be under the right coaching, and I can't wait to see what this guy has to offer. Am I on the bandwagon that he's going to be deemed as the greatest? Excuse me. Am I on the bandwagon that he's deemed as the greatest? Not yet, but I do see the potential. I do see the potential there. So at number 5, Victor Wembanyama. I'm excited to see him, and I can't wait to see what this kid has in the league. And then at number 4, Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, small forward for the Boston Celtics. He averaged about 30 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists last season. He fell off short a little bit in the Eastern Conference Final last year against the Miami Heat. They were down 3-0, and then they came back. So you're thinking, the Celtics have it. They probably would win Game 7, but unfortunately they fell short. The previous year, Jason Tatum went to the NBA Finals where they also fell short to the Golden State Warriors, where Steph Curry had one of the best playoff runs ever that I've ever seen. He finally got his Finals MVP, Stephen Curry. But it feels like, you know, Jason Tatum is getting to that stage in his career where we're starting to see him become a man, right? Obviously, the Boston Celtics traded Marcus Smart to the Grizzlies. They acquired Drew Holiday from the Bucks, and they signed Jaylen Brown to an extension, which is good. It's good for Jason Tatum. Signing Jaylen Brown to an extension is very, very good because it keeps the chemistry between both players. Both players have been playing for almost 7 years together or more, and they just have that chemistry. They have that chemistry, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. One's a Batman, one's the Robin. They complement each other, and whenever they play at the highest level, they're very, very hard to stop. They are very hard to beat. Right? And then you bring in a guy like Drew Holiday into the team, still keeping Chris Middleton and Lopez. So huge dynamic on the team. I think that they are going to be exceptional this year. But here's why I am putting Jason Tatum at number 4. Jason Tatum has been a star in this league, right? He has nothing to prove in terms of proving himself in being a star in this league. Multiple NBA All-Stars, right? He was the first Eastern Conference Finals MVP, the new thing that they brought up, right? But it feels like Jason Tatum has been in the league for so long. He's 25 years old. I believe he came to the league when he was, 17, 18? So it feels like he's been in the league for so long. And a lot of people might look at him as, oh, he's still that kid that got drafted and then played in the conference finals where he got that dunk on LeBron and everybody was excited about this kid, right? But he's proven himself. He's a star. Not taking any away from him. Taking anything away from him. I'm not taking anything away from him, right? But I feel like there's two accolades that Jason Tatum needs to kind of put himself in that bracket of Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo and the big boys, basically, right? The Steph Currys, right? And that's winning the league MVP, winning an NBA championship, and also winning the finals MVP. And I think the start of that would be winning the league MVP. Because if he can win the league MVP this year, I would start having the conversation of saying, okay, Jason Tatum is getting to that bracket of becoming one of the great players in the league. He's great, but we all know that there's a certain bracket of players who are just singled out. And that singled out bracket is sort of those players that have won NBA championships or even league MVPs, right? So for me personally, I think it's time for us to start questioning Jason Tatum and, start looking out for those things where we're like, okay, what does this guy have that we can really call this guy the superstar of the league? He's a superstar, but there's a certain bracket of players that I feel Jason Tatum has not entered in the league yet. One of the best players in the league, one of the most clutch players in the league right now. But for Jason Tatum to get to the next level, he has to win a league MVP or an NBA championship. Just my opinion. Just saying. But at number 4, I have Jason Tatum, the fourth player to look for in the 2023-2024 NBA season. So at number 3, I have D-Man, Steph Curry. Steph Curry, Golden State point guard, Stephen Curry. So last year, he averaged 30 points per game. I believe statistically that might have been his best scoring season. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they got knocked out last year by the Lakers, which was shocking to me because the previous series, they went all the way to Game 7 with the Sacramento Kings, right? And Steph had that crazy 50-point game. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, this guy might have another historical year, but then they play the Lakers with LeBron and AD, and I'm like, how do you lose that matchup? How do you lose that matchup? And that was shocking to me personally, right? But Steph doesn't really have anything to prove. He has nothing to prove. He's a 2-time league MVP, one of which was unanimous. He's already won the finals MVP, and he's a 4-time NBA champion. So clearly, Steph Curry has nothing to prove yet. But if you guys remember during the summer, Steph Curry was on Gilbert Arenas' podcast. And Gilbert Arenas asked him, are you the greatest point guard ever? And flat out Steph said yes. Right? He said, yes, I'm the greatest point guard ever. And then later on, Magic comes on a show or sports network or something and says, well, he's wrong because I am the greatest point guard ever. Right? He actually even started listing out the accolades that he had, 5 championships, 3 MVPs, league MVPs, and all that good stuff, right? And I know for sure that there's kind of like a hidden animosity, but not necessarily animosity in the highest sense. But you know that there's something going on right there. And I know Steph Curry, being so competitive, is thinking to himself, okay, there really is no fine line between who the greatest point guard is. So right now, what I'm going to do this season is try to just clear everyone's doubt. And I feel like this season is that season where Steph kind of elevates his game to a different level from anybody. He's the greatest 3-point shooter ever. You can't argue that. Some might call him the greatest shooter of all time, which I agree. And, he's basically achieved everything there is. But that one conversation, that one thing between him and Magic of who is the greatest point guard still lingers in the air. And for me, I think Steph has a lot to prove this season. So At number 3, that's why I have Stephen Curry at number 3. And number 2, Nikola Jokic. Now, hold on. I know he's the best player in the league, the Denver Nuggets Finals MVP. He just won the championship last season. He's the best player in the league, right? Statistically, had his best playoff run ever, statistically, last season. And, he almost averaged a triple-double. And, yeah, he's the best player in the league. And sometimes I feel like, he treats the game like a 9-to-5 if you think about it. The way he approaches the game, like a 9-to-5, he just comes in, does his thing, and is out. I remember there was I think it was a post-game interview after they had won the NBA championship. And the reporter was like, so are you going for the parade? Are you excited about the parade? And Jokic kind of looked to the side. It was like, are we having a parade? Because he just wanted to go home and chill with his people. And I get it, but, it doesn't take anything away from him because I believe he still respects the game. He plays it at the highest level, and he's currently the best player in the league. He's won everything. He's won two league MVPs. He's a Finals MVP. He's won everything. He really has nothing to prove. But for players who always win the Finals MVP, there is this, idea that can they do it back to back? I believe the last player to do it back to back was Kevin Durant with the Golden State Warriors back in 2017, 2018. And then before that was LeBron James. So we haven't seen a player do it back to back in a while, and that's my question for Nikola Jokic. Can you do it back to back again? They still have a great squad. Most of the players haven't left. Same starting 5: Caldwell Pope, Michael Porter Jr. Same guys on the same squad, right? And if you ask me, can they do it back to back? I think it's hard, but it's very possible. Very, very possible. But I think it's hard. Really, really hard. But at number 2, I have Nikola Jokic because he wants to prove to the league that he is in that bracket as KD, LeBron James, and the GOATs. And he's trying to win a back-to-back. So that's why I have him as number 2. And then at number 1, I have Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis is the closest person to Jokic. And what do I mean by that? I mean that he's the closest person in terms of the best player in the league. Now, to some people, Giannis is still the best player in the league. To some others, Jokic is the best player in the league. And that's why I say Giannis is the closest person to him, because every accolade that Giannis has, Jokic has, except the defensive player of the year, right? And which, Jokic plays defense, right? But not to the highest level as Giannis does, obviously. But I have Giannis as number 1 because, last year was a very historical year for him. He averaged 31 points per game in the regular season. He was up there in the MVP race. Some people said he should have won it. Some people said Joel Embiid shouldn't have taken it. Some people even said Jokic should have taken it, right? But whatever your choice, whatever you take, that's fine, right? Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. But statistically, he had the best run, 31 points per game of his career. And, why I say he's number 1 is because they just acquired Damian Lillard, one of the best point guards in the league. They acquired Damian Lillard in a trade from the Portland Trailblazers, and he's now with the Bucks. So you have Damian Lillard, you have Giannis, Chris Middleton, Lopez. Great players on the squad. And that adds a little bit of pressure to Giannis. Not saying he hasn't won a chip already, because he did it without Damian Lillard, right? But now we're talking about trying to elevate yourself into the bracket and the likes of Steph Curry, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, right? Trying to put yourself within that bracket of the GOATs of the GOATs. And them acquiring Damian Lillard just automatically puts them in that position. But they would have to win it. And especially the way the season ended last year, they lost to the Miami Heat. Obviously, he ended up having a back injury or some form of injury, which was terrible for him. And me knowing who Giannis is, he is a competitor. He wants to win. He wants to win. And I know he's had a mental check of that game exactly because he wants to win. He does not like losing. And I truly believe that Giannis is looking for a redemption season, especially with the weapons he has. Damian Lillard, Chris Middleton, Lopez. Really, really great squad, right? Does he have anything to prove? Not really, because he's won everything. Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time league MVP, Finals MVP. And he did it in a team where there was no like superstar team of bonding that came together. But you get Damian Lillard, bro. This is legit. This is a year where Giannis is like, okay, I don't think I'm going to have another opportunity to win a chip in a way and a fashion, especially in this season. So that's why I have Giannis Antetokounmpo as my number one player to look out for in the 2023-2024 season. So if you guys like this video, make sure you hit the like button and don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification button to be notified of new episodes. My name is Chike Obaka. This is the Top 5 Sports Podcast. God bless.